नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, chapter number 18, and I think we are verse number 45. So this is story of King Yayati, and we read how he was cursed by Shukracharya to become old, and then he was given the facility to exchange his old age with the youth of any one of his sons. So he asked Yadu, and then Turvasu and Rahyu, and then Anu, and they all refused. So then he asked Puru, and Puru gladly agreed. So then he accepted that. So iti pramuditah Puru pratyagrihajaram pituhu sobi tadvayasa kaman yathavad jujushe nirpa. So he happily accepted it and became old, and then what did Yayati do? He enjoyed his youth because that's what he wanted. So he made good use of that. So he says, Sopi tadvaisa kaman yathavat jujuse nripa. So, Saptadvipati samyak pitrivat palayan prajaha yathopjosham vishyan jujuse vyahatendriya. He was the master of earth, which contained 7 dvipas at that time. I don't know how many are now. How many continents are there now? 5. So he protected the earth just like the father protects children. And Yathop Josham Vishyan. And he also enjoyed the Vishayas as per his liking. Yathop Josham means as per his liking. Avyahata Indriya. His senses were strong. So Saptadvipati Bharatvarshvartino ye navdvipa तेषाम आदिमंतम द्वीपो विना ये सप्तद्वीप संख्या द्वीपास्तेषाम पतिरिति है. So he says that on Bharatvarsha there are 9 dvipas. No, I have. So leaving the first and the last out of these 9, the other 7, he was the master of that. Iti vyakhyam agrim granth vyakyanurodhat. So he says that's how it should be understood as Saptadvipas. Yathopjosham yathapriti. Yathopjosham means as per his liking. Devyani api anudinam manovag deha vastubhihi preyasa paramam pritim vah preyasi raha. And Devyani also every day with his mind, body, speech and other things, she served the husband with great love and affection. Prayasa paramam priti muvaha prayasi raha. So they relished together. Ayajat yagya purusham kratubhir भूरि दक्षिणैः सर्वदेवमयं देवं सर्ववेदमयं हरिम्. They worshipped the Yagya Purusha Vishnu Kratubhir with yagyas, and Bhuri Dakshini gave a lot of dakshina after doing yagya. Sarvadevamayam Devam Sarvadevamayam Harim. So they worshipped Devas, Lord Hari, who is Sarvadevamaya. So that means it is not that he was enjoying as people think at present, but in a religious manner. So that's how he enjoyed. Yasminidam virachitam vyomni va jaladavali naneva bhati na bhati swapna maya manoratha. So it is in him that this universe is contained or manifested, just like the clouds, they are in the vyoma or in the space, and they have disappeared in manifold or variegated, sometimes and sometimes not, just like swapna maya manoratha. Like the dream or like the manoratha one makes one's own dreams. So like that it is manifest in him. So yasmin adhisthane idam jagan nana eva karan rupena eva teneva akyat natu vastuto nana ityartha. So because he is the adhisthana or support of this universe, and it appears variegated because of the karana or being one with it, but in reality it is only one. So just as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that that Gyan is called Sattvic Gyan when you see one in the variety. Savibhaktam vibhaktesu. So Tat Gyanam Vidhi Sattvika. So that Gyan is Sattvic, which when one sees one undivided reality in all these various things. As Krishna also says, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. So that is what he is saying, that in reality there is no variety because ultimate truth is only one. But this variety appears because of the manoratha, because of the various desires of people. Ataeva pralaya tatra pravishati pravishatvat na bhati na bahil vyakti bhavati. So when it is dissolved, then there is no variety because it is not manifest. Swapna maya manorathi iti arthai ityasya arthai ye drishtanta trayam sarva dvandhu. So Swapna Maya Manorathi says these are three examples, as in dream or as in some magical appearance or as in Manoratha is like daydreaming. So there are three, but the singular cases because of Dvandva Samas can be made as singular ekvachan optionally. तमेव हृदि विन्यस्य वासुदेवं गुहाशयं नारायणं अणीयांशं निराशीरयजत प्रभुम्. So, installing that very Supreme Lord Hari in his heart, it's also called Vasudeva, he worshipped him, Ayajat, without any desires. He Vasudeva, who is also called Narayana, and Aniyansam, who is difficult to understand. So we have to also keep this in mind, that he was also doing bhakti, although he was having material desire to enjoy, but he was also not just with unrestricted enjoyment. So his intention was to get out of that. Means he understood the purpose of life, but as he made it very clear to Shukracharya that his mind is not yet satisfied, he was not detached completely, that he could just retire. Generally, when these kings used to become old, they would retire to forest and give up the responsibility to their son. So if he became old, he would have just given the responsibility to the eldest son, Yadu, and gone to forest. But he says that he was not satisfied that. So in that situation, it is better to follow this path, otherwise he will go there and he will think of the enjoyment, and then he will be lost, because he will neither be able to meditate there or engage in devotional service, nor he will be able to enjoy, and thus he will never become renounced and never become devoted also. So he will be in problem. So for such people only Krishna says, na buddhi bhedam janiyed ajnanam karma sanginam joshet sarva karmani vidwan yukta samacharam. So it is for such type of people that Krishna says that you should not disturb their mind by preaching to them. So this is the one defect of preaching, that you somehow pull out people who are not qualified. You impress their mind and then they take to spiritual path. Once they come to spiritual path, their desires are still lurking in the heart. Now they become guilty of expressing those desires. So either they repress, which they cannot do all the time, or they go back, they drop everything. So there is a high turnover rate, right? Or some people are hanging there, but they are thinking, why I am stuck here? They are struggling continuously, and then blame the process, blame the teacher, blame other people, because your frustration has to come out on somebody. You cannot contain it in yourself, right? Churning of the ocean, poison comes out, and there is no Shiva to drink it. So you have to burn with that poison yourself. So then you meet with other devotees and throw it at each other, right? That's what people do. This is great satisfaction, because they are burning with it. So then they spit it out. So this is called sadhu sangha. So this helps them to relieve of their poison for some time. And then you go back and build it again. Then meet again throw out. Continues like this. In the process, of course, you become offensive. Then you can lose the path. This is a practical situation which I observed So Yayati, therefore, that is the teaching we take from him, that he was very clear about himself, that my mind is not yet satisfied with sense pleasures, I still want to go through it. But he also understood the goal. That goal is not just sense pleasure. And he was also engaged therefore in devotional activities. He was meditating, he was worshipping. He understood that the purpose is to attain Vasudeva, Narayana, and therefore he says that he ayajat prabham. So he was not confused about that. He knew that he is the Sarva Devamaya and Sarva Vedamaya also. So Sarva Vedamaya means that he is the essence of the Vedas, as Krishna says, Vedaischa sarvairahameva vedya, and he is the ultimate Deva. All Devas are contained in his body, Sarva Devamayam. So that means if he is worshipped, then everyone is satisfied. And if he is worshipped, then one has understood the proper meaning of the Vedas. So this is what he understood from. So he says Vasudevam iti sarvatraiva so vasti iti prayasa bhava. So Vasudeva means who is everywhere. Vasu comes from Vas dhatu, Vasti means to live, to be present, and Deva is that which shines. So who is everywhere and he is effulgent or he is playing. Deva dhatu has many meanings. Kridayam, Dyotrne. So he says, therefore don't have to make much effort to worship him. It's not that you have to go to Badrinath, Kedarnath, somewhere. Right? People take long journey to reach Mansarovar. So he is everywhere. Wherever you are, he is there. So that is the significance of Vasudeva. And everywhere also maybe some effort is made. It says Guhashraya, he is actually right inside you. So you don't have to make effort at all. So Guhayam antakarne shrete nacha anya shayanaiva naram jivam samuham ayate janati nacha jiv samuhastam janati tya. And he is sleeping, but he is not sleeping like other people. So he is not snoring. Right? So he is relaxing. Sleeping here means that he is relaxed. He has no worries, no anxiety. Right? You cannot sleep if you have anxiety. So that is the meaning, that why he is always sleeping in the ocean. Means he is stress free. So if you want to be stress free, you should go to a person who is stress free. If you go to a person who is stressed, you will also become stressed. Right? So if you go to a person who is stress free, then you become stress free also. So who is stress free? Narayan. Just relaxing. Because these days people do not know how to relax. They are very much in stress. This is the outcome of advancement. Advancement means stress and anxiety. When people were not advanced, nobody was stressed. Right? Nobody had the anxiety. Nobody had insomnia. these things did not exist. So they were considered as backward. So when you have become advanced, then you must be stressed. Right? People say, I'm very busy, I'm stressed. Then looks like he's somebody. If somebody is relaxed, means something is wrong. This person is not doing anything. So now even small children, they are stressed. Previously even grown-up people were not stressed. Now even small children, they are stressed because they are advanced. They already know so many things. Now you don't see innocent children. Right? That innocence has disappeared because of advancement. The only innocence is probably when children are just newborn or few months old. After that, they are already old, advanced. So this is the outcome of our advancement, our technology. Now we have machines for everything, but we don't have time. And we don't have people to help or cooperate because nobody has time. Previously people had time and they would cooperate and they would work. Now people work more because they are always tired. So therefore they have to retire at 65. Right? Mostly 60, then you have voluntary retirement. So retirement means that you are already tired and then you retire. Right? How can you retire if you are not tired? So you are double tired. So now people are becoming retired at 40, 45. Right, Malati? So this is amazing. Previously people used to work for a whole life, There was no such thing as retiring. So now we are already tired, and they were never tired. Forget about retiring, because how can they retire if they are not tired? You have to fulfill the first condition. So now people even in their 30s are thinking to retire. They are already so tired. By the time they study in the college and come out, they are already tired. When their life is beginning, they get tired. So this is advancement. So what we were talking about, he says that he is sleeping, means he is relaxed. So this is to indicate that if you take shelter of Narayana, you will also relax like that. Relaxing does not mean that you will be sleeping all the time. Then you will become diabetic. Means you will be stress free. That is the meaning of Narayana. Because water generally relaxes the mood. Right? Now the rain came, everything becomes relaxed. So therefore he says Narayana. So these two words he is commenting. Vasudeva, everywhere. Narayana, relaxed. And Guhashaya is just inside you, so he is always with you. So you cannot think, where will I worship? It is not a weekend program that you go on temple or church on the weekend, Sunday feast or something like that. So it is Guhashaya, Antakarana. So Naram Jiva Samuham Ayate Janati. So Narayana has many meanings. Nara means human beings, Nara means group of human beings, and Ayate, Ainam, Yasya, so many ways you can say. So here it says Ayate Janati. So Narayana means who knows everybody. So he has good memory. That is another sign of advancement now, that people do not remember. Right? Now we forget even our own phone number. Before this iPhone came, you used to remember so many phone numbers. Right? Now you don't remember anything. Because when you put your intelligence into the machine, then you lose your intelligence. So Narayan does not use any equipment. If you see Narayana, then he does not have any gadgetry like car or phone or camera or smart things these days. So he does not have any of these things. So therefore he has good memory. Therefore he says Naram Jiva Samuham Ayate Janati, that he knows everybody. So more you can become free from technology, better your memory will be. So this technology is a good way to lose your memory. And then Krishna says when you lose memory, what happens? What is the next step? Buddhi Nasa. Smriti Bhransad Buddhi Nasha. And Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. So you see now the advantage of technology. So people are having now dementia, Alzheimer, so memory loss. When memory loss is there, then there is a loss of buddhi. And if buddhi is lost, then human being is not a human being. Human being is called human being only because he or she has buddhi. Without buddhi, human being may be human being in outlook, in appearance, but he is not human being. Right? Because what differentiates human beings from non-human beings is buddhi. Otherwise, what is the difference? So, buddhi works according to the capacity of memory. So, less memory, less buddhi. High memory, high buddhi. Like you have computer. So, when computer advance, the memory increases. Right? They work faster, isn't it? When you improve the memory of your computer, then it does things faster. Why? Because the memory has gone up. So same also applies to the human mind. So you diminish the memory, then start hanging. It just goes on circling. It cannot do what it is supposed to do. It gets confused. So confused that it doesn't know anything. Confusion is also called Brahma. And Brahma also means to wander. So you see that circle on your screen, it's just wandering. Means going nowhere. Why? Because it doesn't have memory. So now human beings are hanging because they are losing their memory. So Narayana, if you want good memory, then come to Narayana. It is a fact. If you meditate on Narayana, your memory will improve. But that is difficult for people. They have no time and they are tired. Two problems. First of all, no time. Secondly, tired because they are advanced. And then if they are not tired and they have time, then they are stressed. Then they have anxiety, they cannot meditate. So that's just the gift of advancement. So nacha jiva samuhastam janati iti aha aniyansam durgayam. So he knows all the living beings, and living beings do not know him. So that is the meaning of the word aniyansam. So aniyansa means who is durgaya, or difficult to decipher, difficult to understand. Because anu means small. So small means subtle. Subtle things are difficult to grasp. That is the significance here. So therefore he glosses at the word aniyamsam as durgayam. Sacha bahir vishaya lampatopi yayati na mansa vishaya lampata iti aha nirashi. So he is giving a very nice meaning to these words, although this verse is very simple, but he brings out this. So he says, although externally he was Vishalampat, means he seemed to be attached to the material pleasures, but inside he was not. Therefore the word Nirashi is used here. So this is very important thing. Generally people do other way around, especially in the spiritual path, that inside they are Ashi, outside they look Nirashi. Outside they look detached, renounced, but inside there are a lot of attachments, a lot of desires. So here he is other way around. He is king and he got youth and he has beautiful wife and he is enjoying. So externally he is very much into enjoyment, but inside he is not. And that is very important. So this is because people also have samskaras, and because of the samskaras they understand that what I am doing is actually not the right thing to do, but samskaras impel, so they go along with it. Jusmanasya tatay kaman dukhvardhakansya garhen. Krishna says that Jusmanasya tatah kaman, that they are engaging Jush dhatu priti sevanayahu. So they do sevan, means they engage in it, kamas, in the objects of enjoyment. But they also know that these are dukhodarka, that this sense enjoyment will always lead to suffering. As it happened to him also. Why he became old? Because he united with Sharmistha. So he knows this. So dukhodarkansya garhen. So despising. Otherwise you become completely absorbed in sense pleasure. You dive into it headlong. Then you will drown into it. So he was not drowned like that. He was mindful. He was, of course, he was educated. He was born in a good family. Such a high lineage he has. So he will come out of it. He will give this up. So therefore it says Nirashi and Ayajat Prabhum. Therefore he was always engaged in the worship of Bhagwan, the Lord, the Master. So Prabhumiti Dasya Bhava Kankshi. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is really going after each word. So he says the word Prabhu is indicative that he was in the Dasya Bhav. Because in Dasya Bhav, one considers oneself as Dasya and one considers Bhagwan as master or Prabhu. Prabhu means master. Evam वर्ष सहस्राणि मन षष्ठैर्मन सुखम विदधानोपि न तृप्यत सार्वभौमः कदीन्द्रियैः. So in this way he engaged in sense pleasure for 1000 years with his Kadindriya. Is saying that his senses which were not in control. So with his mind, manashashthai kadindriyaihi. So with his senses, in which mind is the sixth sense, and manah sukham. So the pleasures of the mind, but he was never satisfied. Although he was Sarvabhaum, he was the Samrat, he was the ruler of the earth, means he had all the facilities. So two things are to be noted here. That one thing is that he enjoyed for an extended period of time. 1000 years means as long as you want. And he had all the facility, being the Samrat, ruler of the planet. But he was not satisfied. So the implied sense of the verse is that if this is the case with him, then where do we stand? We do not have a facility like him. Right? He was quite strong, well built. He had servants, power, he commanded, living in big palace, and everything organic. Right? A2 milk. So no chemicals, no chemical fertilizer. So everything was clean, everything was pure. So that means he had good health, and he enjoyed for so long, means whatever he wanted he could get. Whatever he wanted to eat, he could order that, but he was not satisfied. So means no one can be satisfied. If Yayati is not satisfied, then who can be satisfied? It is not possible. So that's what one has to understand from this, that manasukham means kambhog, things which are pleasing to his mind, music, dance, food, all these things did not give him satisfaction. Why it did not give him satisfaction? Because satisfaction cannot come from the external objects. The external objects are jada and we are ajada. So we are sentient beings and these objects are material. So material objects cannot give satisfaction to a sentient being. That is never possible. So that's why Krishna makes that categorical statement that these bhogas, they are source of suffering. Yehi sansparsja bhoga. dukkha-yoniya evate anadyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddha. So first of all he says, he did not say that they are sukha-yoni. It's a very interesting word he uses. He says that these bhogas, which are sometimes called kama, kama also means object of enjoyment, bhoga means same. So they are dukkha-yoni. They are not sukha-yoni. Yoni means the source. So they are source of suffering. So which intelligent person would like to have? Therefore he said, na tesu ramte buddha. If you know that if you open one tap and you know that from this tap the milk is coming, and if you open another tap and you know that from that urine is coming, so which one would you open? So he says that there is a sukha-yoni and there is a dukkha-yoni. So now from that you can understand how many intelligent people are there in this material world. Everybody seems to be open the other tap. Right? So he says that they are dukkha-yoni. Only thing is that outside it is written happiness. That is the maya. It's like the bottle is full of urine, but outside it is written milk. So this is the problem. The packaging is good, but inner material is not good. Like you order something from Amazon, it comes nicely packed. Then you open and say, no, what is this? Return it, right? So then you send it back. So packaging is one thing, and what is the content inside, that is a separate thing. So Maya packs things nicely, but inside is dukkha-yoni. Otherwise you will not buy. Good packaging is necessary to buy the rotten stuff. If it is already smelling, you will not take it. So you have to put some nice perfume on it. So therefore Krishna says that they are dukkha-yonis and nateshu ramte buddha. So this is the sign of intelligence. Buddhiman, wise people do not go for that. So this is the end of this chapter. Chapter number 18. Very nice chapter. So Vishyalam Patyat Kadindriyai. We had a nice story of Yati's curse here. So any question on this before we move to the next chapter? Next chapter is also a very nice chapter. ये कहाँ से बोला? Yes.
I have one question on this chapter. That we see that Yayati is also following Dharma, Devyani is also following Dharma, Sarmishta is also following Dharma. So everyone seems to be following Dharma, but still person is getting old in speech maturely, then exchanging old age with some youth. So there is a flaw. Is Shukracharya at flaw, or what is this plot trying to show us? Who is that Lord?
Who is what?
Who is that flaw, or who is that fault?
Flaw.
If everyone is Krishna, then this thing should happen.
No, they are following dharma, but they also have material desires. That's what I am explaining. They are not just following dharma, they also have desire for enjoying. So they also have kama. Just like there are four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama and moksha. So they are following dharma, they also have kama. And they also want artha. So they are following trivarga. So, as Krishna speaks, Tragunya Vishya Veda Nistragunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvastha Yoga Kshema Atmavan. So this is they are the example of Tragunya who are following. So everybody is in Tragunya, but they are within the fold of Vedas. That's what is being depicted. So there are people now who are enjoying, they are full of kama, but no dharma. So they are dharmic, therefore you will see that he will come out of it. But common people in the material world, they will never, they don't come out of it. They keep drowning in it, up and down, up and down. Yes.
But can we say that Shukracharya is little harsh or maybe misusing his power?
Yeah, you can say that. That's what is material world is like that. When you have power, your boss is doing that to you, right?
Yeah.
So this is the example. When this is the Tragunya, when you are in the Tragunya, this is what happens. His name is Shukracharya. Yes.
Yeah, this tendency to steam out the frustration. This shows that there is some not hypocrisy, but there is some kind of desire which is not fulfilled, and there is no what to say, maybe the step to get into the spiritual life was too early, or was something wrong in that. I mean, not wrong, but something that is not completed. Like he wanted to complete his to fulfill all his desires, so that externally he doesn't have anything anymore to desire, meaning that all the things outside, they don't have value anymore and no more attraction to him. So now, how is the...
So from bhakti point of view, this happens when you do not have Shraddha. So people come to spiritual life, as I was saying, because somebody preaches to you, right? So you don't have Shraddha in bhakti. Your Shraddha is in the material world, right? Then somebody influences your mind by preaching. So your mind changes because mind becomes influenced by hearing, by seeing things, by talking to me. But that does not mean that your Shraddha has changed. So your Shraddha may not change, or maybe you acquire a little bit of Shraddha, but your prime Shraddha may still be in your old desires. So you still carry those desires with you and you still value them. So then you come to the spiritual life, and there your Shraddha is not very strong. So then you still try to work on your desires. And because those desires may not be fulfilled here, because that facility may not be allowed, then you feel frustrated. Or if you are in a position of power, then you try to fulfill them and rationalize them. So that's what people do.
It seems like all this it's like a mechanism, and then it becomes very dangerous for the person who wants to walk on the spiritual path.
It becomes dangerous for everybody.
Mm.
Becomes dangerous for others also, because you don't know what this person is going to do. It's not reliable.
Babaji, in the story of King Yayati, you mentioned the different classes of sons, and it was said that the lower classes of sons were one who does something willingly, and then one who does something but does it grudgingly. So, if you extrapolate that example to bhakti, can you explain if someone does bhakti, if I can say grudgingly or because they feel it is the right thing to do, versus someone that does bhakti willingly, what is the outcomes for those two separate categories?
Yeah, so one who is doing, he said that the lowest, he made 4, the 4th one is who never does it. Right? And the 3rd one is who does but grudgingly. And the 2nd one is who does it, but he is asked to do it, and the 1st one who does without being asked. So then you will see different effect on the path of bhakti. That you are on the path of bhakti and you do service. Not that you are asked to do it, but you understand what is needed to be done. So you do that. So that is the best. And then the second best is that you do it when you are asked to do it, and you do it happily. So then that is good. Then you will make advancement. By that you will become purified. Your anarthas will go away. And the 3rd is that you do it but grudgingly. So that will not purify you, because you are just doing it out of some pressure. And bhakti is meant to change your awareness, your consciousness, not change some external thing. It is not a work. That is the difference between seva and work. So seva has to be done from heart. At least you should not grudge. So that is possible when you have Shraddha. That's why for the 3rd one he says Ashraddhaya. And that's what I was saying, that people come to path of bhakti, somehow they get influenced, but they don't have Shraddha. So then they are doing it grudgingly. When you have Shraddha, then you will not grudge, because that's what Shraddha means. Yes.
So it was said that the king was immersed in sense enjoyment, but internally he was not attached. And then it was also said that he was frustrated.
He will get frustrated with this, means he will not be satisfied with it.
With the situation, because usually we say, when you're not attached, then where did the frustration come from?
Because he is trying to get satisfaction from it, and he realizes that the word which is used is na tripyat. He did not feel satisfied.
So the frustration came out of not fulfilling his expectations of being satisfied.
Yeah, he thought that he will feel fulfilled with it. Means he will become peaceful, happy. That is the meaning.
So it was not kind of a frustration that he, that, because on the way he also had this conviction that the purpose is within him. He had this understanding. So the frustration was not of observing himself not coming closer to that goal.
No, here frustration or dissatisfaction is from the sense object. So he understood. He was thinking that, sometimes people think that I can do this also and this also. I can put my 2 feet in 2 boats, both pravritti and nivritti. So that's what he's finding difficulty, that this does not give satisfaction.
But nevertheless, it was necessary for him to do, or just the right thing, to be honest and to
Yeah.
accept that
So
his
that's
limitations.
because that's why I'm saying, when you do not have strong Shraddha, then what are you going to do? So he has Shraddha. It's not that he has no Shraddha, but it is not strong enough that he can become free from it without going through the experience. So then when he goes through the experience, he is being conscious of it. He is not just enjoying like people normally do. He's being aware, he's being conscious, and he's seeing that actually it's not giving anything to me. So why am I doing it? So he may know this theoretically, but now he's experiencing it. So therefore, once you experience it, then he will have Shraddha on the spiritual side. Because this, he says, I have seen it. As they say, been there, done that, right? So then he will be firm. Now if somebody comes and allures him, he says, no, this I know very well. I've been there. There's nothing in it.
Babaji,
Hmm.
कहना कि just inquire also in the category of Sakama Bhakti or
Yes. Yes.
So, what are practical ways to change the Shraddha?
Listen to class and remove your doubts and deliberate on these stories.
Babaji,
Hanji,
I have one more question in my mind.
bola.
Like you said that through this example of Yati, he had that experience in a conscious way, and then he was done with it. But in like the spiritual path also, when people come, everyone has a different physical capacity, mental capacity, and whatever strengths and weaknesses. But then sometimes you see that a standardized program is given to everyone, and then one feels frustrated, I'm not able to do that, I'm not able to do this. So the frustration can come on the spiritual path also, Babaji.
Yes. So when you change, if you cannot do that, then you change to doing something else. Actually, frustration comes only because of lack of Shraddha. Otherwise, there is no frustration. That is the main cause.
Babaji, we often condition to believe that practice makes perfect. So why is it that if somebody does bhakti, even though grudgingly, they do not graduate and become purified?
No, but you will become perfect in doing it. Right? When you say perfect, if you are doing arti, you'll after doing, you will be able to do it without giving any attention to it. It's like when you start learning how to drive bike, you have to hold with both hands, and then later on when you become perfect, you can cycle without holding the handle, right? Without paying any attention to it, you so become perfect. You can become so perfect that you don't even paddle, and you can stand still and not fall down. Right? You have seen that. So you'll become so good at doing it without any attention. So you become perfect. Because bhakti is internal game. So externally you will become perfect. Like you can become a nice singer, you can dance nicely, but externally, not in the bhav. So who was that famous, that singer, dancer, Michael Jackson? So he was also forced by his father to perform, right? So he became perfect. But he was not happy.
So if practicing begrudgingly makes one perfect in having grudge about bhakti and not actually wanting to do it, and the opposite makes one perfect to do it happily. But the thing is,
because what is bhakti done grudgingly? Tell me, how is it bhakti? It goes against
against the definition.
against the definition of bhakti. Anukulyana Krishna Anusilanam.
Yes.
So where is the, if you do it grudgingly?
So at the level below Bhava Bhakti, this Anukulyena, it means to do it in a favorable mood, but still we have no Bhava, right?
Yeah.
So now Bhava for us means to just be absorbed and try to focus and concentrate as much as possible.
What do you mean bhava for us? Bhava is bhava, and that will come out as an outcome of this. So you do that. That is sadhana, not bhava. That is doing your sadhana properly. So grudgingly is not the definition. It's not part of bhakti. I mean, just try to think that where are you trying to reach? You are trying to reach at love, right? So how will you reach love with grudge? Tell me. How is that you will end up in love with hatred? Grudging means dislike, hatred. So how this hatred or dislike will lead you to love? Tell me. Where is the cause and effect relationship?
No way, something's in the east, so.
So therefore it won't happen.
But
Now that is another thing, that bhakti's activities, they have their own power in it. So that will act if you are not offensive. But how you will not be offensive if you are doing it grudgingly? Then you will criticize. Even if you don't speak, in mind you are already criticizing. Right? Your thought is already critical. You already don't like it. So then
Babaji,
yes.
Babaji, and the category in which you do bhakti because you know it is good for you, is that also doing bhakti grudgingly?
Why it is grudgingly?
Because maybe you doing it out of fear or...
Yeah, it after fear is not bhakti. That's again the same thing. Fear also means dislike. When you fear something, don't you dislike that? Right? So again, how is that something which is in the category of dislike, category of dvesha, that it will take you to raga or to love or bhava?
Babaji, there can be a situation, somebody is stuck in some ashram, like he doesn't have anywhere else to go, and then there is some schedule or routine over there, and then he has to follow. Then he'll do grudgingly because he doesn't like it, but he doesn't have any other option.
So he has no problem. What is his problem? Go on doing it. He's not there for bhakti. He is there because he has no other place to go. Right? You yourself is saying that he has no other place to go. So let him do it grudgingly. At least he has a place to be somewhere. So what's the problem? He's not
If he is inoffensive, then these bhakti activities will give some sense.
Yeah, but he's not there for bhakti. You yourself are saying that he's not for bhakti. How is he for bhakti when you say he has no other place to go? That means if he has another place to go, he will leave and go. So he's not doing bhakti. He's not there for bhakti. He's there because he needs shelter. So why do you expect this person now to take to bhakti or become devotee or become advanced by doing this? That's not his goal.
But some activities he may be doing like aarti and all that.
Yeah, he's doing it, but why is he doing it? So that he gets a place and he gets his breakfast. Otherwise, they won't give breakfast. He cannot have morning prasad if he doesn't go to Mangal Aarti. That's the rule. So he's going for that and he's getting it. So what's the problem? He wants breakfast and he gets it because he goes to Mangal Aarti. Both parties are satisfied. Right? He's satisfied that he's getting his breakfast and they are satisfied that he's coming to Mangal Aarti. There's no problem. Okay.